Good day, guys. Thank you very much for joining again. Today we'll be talking about the Cisco official guide for QoS design. All right, this is a very important document because it was designed by Tim Sigeti. Maybe you know him. He's as it says here, principal engineer. He's the expert who designed pretty much the new classification markings for DSCP standard that we use today, pretty much. This document goes very deep. Look at this agenda. Introduction, wide area network QoS design, campus QoS, wireless LAN QoS design, automating and assuring QoS, which is already talking about a very high level of understanding, summary and references. What we will pretty much have in terms of the Cisco CCNA certification test is more about introduction. What we have in the agenda in yellow color. Introduction to strategic QoS design. So that's what we'll be reading right now. Just the introduction to get an idea of how it works. Cisco Enterprise QoS Design. Cisco's first QoS Design Enterprise was published in 2000 for voice over IP only. Look at this. Let me actually show you how many pages. 630. 630 pages. That's a pretty heavy reading. So this document is for architects becoming experts in QoS. That's why we'll just have an overview of it. As you can see, this is the previous one. That's the previous version. Enterprise QoS Solution Reference Network Design Guide, version 3.3. Cisco Enterprise QoS Design Guide, 1043 pages from Tim Sigeti. He's the principal engineer. Alright, Cisco Enterprise QoS Design. This is for voice over IP. There's a specialization for voice over IP. That's the collaboration path. This guide is very useful for anyone going through that path. Alright, let's start with the introduction, with the overview. The why, the how, and the what of enterprise networking. Cisco Enterprise Vision. Transform our customers' businesses. And then again, why? This is through powerful yet simple networks. What networks? That's what we're dealing with. How? Powerfully and simply. Configurations. That's it. They try to make the configurations of it as powerful and simple as possible. Why? Because the business matters. That's what we were talking about the previous video. There is some business critical type of data that should be prioritized over other scavenger or less important type of data on the network, right? If we're buying all of this very expensive equipment, Cisco switches and routers, we better make sure that we're using them appropriately, right? We want to have very nice phone calls and video calls, critical applications using the network, and then things like Facebook and video games and all of that type of thing, just using the less amount of bandwidth possible, right? But as we were talking, it depends on the business need, because sometimes video games are very important for some companies, especially when we're talking about very high-end type of tournaments where there's a big prize for us. Then video game traffic becomes very critical. All right, so that's why we consider the business needs. Here it says, what do you consider first? Will you decide just, all right, I think this is the most critical information. Yeah, we can have an idea, but at the end of the day, we have to talk to the business. We have to talk to the managers. We have to talk to the decision makers, the president of the company, all right, or whoever, whatever our level is in the company, we'll be talking to those persons, all right? And we as network engineers or network administrators too, the network administrator and network engineer, CCNA certified, normally what we do in our level is we configure whatever the senior networking person, the senior networking engineer tells us. All right, pretty much we have a junior networking position, junior network engineer. All right, we need to know the configurations, we need to apply them. And the higher level ones, the higher level guys, they are the ones who are discussing the business need and what type of traffic is priority to the business. What do you consider first? Where to begin? Always start with defining your business goals of QoS. Where to begin? Here it says guaranteeing voice quality meets enterprise standards, ensuring a high quality of experience for video applications, especially whenever it's video conferencing, improving user productivity or minimizing network response times, managing business applications that are bandwidth hogs. For example, some BitTorrents. BitTorrents can be bandwidth hogs. They occupy and congest the network. You have to put a limit to it. You have to really limit the bandwidth for those types of applications. They could really degrade the bandwidth performance. And everyone experiencing slowness just because one guy is downloading a BitTorrents movie, that would be really counterproductive. We have to really manage business applications appropriately. Identifying and deprioritizing non-business applications. Right, that's what we said. Improving network availability by protecting the control planes. There is some special management type of data that we want to ensure we give it the proper amount of bandwidth. Hardening the network infrastructure to deal with abnormal events. What if an application suddenly starts consuming a lot of power? We have to be prepared for DDoS attacks as well. We have to be prepared for an application bug where maybe some background data starts being sending out. Maybe we have some open ports on the firewall that they were previously closed and for some X or Y reason just started occupying a lot of the bandwidth. We have to be prepared for that, and we have to harden the network so that quality of service takes care of that. If there's a bandwidth increase and we start having a congestion, what's going to happen? We have to be prepared to be applying policies such as shaping and policing dropping packets, depending on our needs. Determining application business relevance. How important is an application to your business? Again, that depends on the business. Kevin Wallace, he was saying that whenever he was working in a company, some type of specific data which was meant for family entertainment was actually the most critical type of data in that business, so it was prioritized to the maximum. So it depends on the company. Determining application business relevance. How important is an application to your business? Relevant, default, or irrelevant? Right? Normally, relevant is obviously voice over IP. Determining application business relevance. So relevant are the applications that support business objectives. Applications should be classified, marked with QoS values, IP precedence, DSCP, draw probability, all of those types of markings, and treated marked accordingly to industry best practice recommendations. So the Telecommunications Union pretty much defined how to deal with those. As we can see, RFC 4594. Irrelevant are those that do not support business objectives and are typically customer oriented. Applications of that type should be treated as a less than best effort service, which means applying a first in, first out and just limiting the amount of bandwidth. Default, those are the applications that may support business objectives. HTTP, SSL, applications of that type should be treated by default forwarding service. Oops.